Alright, we're going to be going over Rtings settings for the LG C10 and basically explaining why you don't want to be just randomly plugging these settings into your television. So smack a like on this video because we're getting to the point right now. So in short, you don't want to do it because these settings are trash. But let me explain why they're trash instead of just saying that. Because I say it a lot, but people don't really understand it. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. AI service. You're going to make sure you turn all those things off. Well, if you know anything about the LG C10, you know the AI is the brains of your television. This is your processing. Why'd you buy an Alpha 9 Gen 3 if you were just going to turn all this stuff off? For that, you could buy any LG OLED ever that doesn't have this because you're turning off the key refinements here that LG worked so hard to bring you. Now, we go up into our picture settings. This is where things get a little worse for LG because of Rtings. Okay, so this stuff is default under the OLED screen settings, or the screensaver settings. The additional settings, we have eye comfort mode off, HDMI, UHD deep color, we have that ticked on. All this stuff is off by default. Energy saver mode is off. Now aspect ratio, I did my own way. I always set this to original, and then I go in and I set that to auto. Now the reason I like doing it like this is because when you set it to off, like some people have suggested that I do, you end up running into a problem where you lose PPI, or pixels per inch. The overall density of your pixels gets worse because the image gets bigger. You do not want the image to get bigger, and that's exactly what it does. When you set it to auto, it turns on basically, and your image gets smaller. But that smaller image gives you a tighter image quality. So anyone that's not doing it this way is just throwing away pixel density for no reason. Now, Expert Dark is their preferred picture preset. 24 is the OLED light. This will give you really dark imagery, stupid dark, even in a normal lit room. It's not suitable for even a dark room, as most of the highlights in the background, the practical lighting that the director set up, that kind of stuff just fades away. Contrast 90 is alright, it's not a terrible value, but it's too dark for this OLED light of 24. Now, your brightness set to 50, that's fine. Your sharpness at 0 is not fine. This is under sharpening. When you have these Hollywood studios, they already know that they're made for consumer grade displays, and they already take out the sharpening in post-production. And having attended colorist classes and graduating from those colorist classes, at least at a beginner's level, I understand the videography aspect a lot better now. And I can tell you, it is not any director's intent for you to take your sharpness down to 0 in your display, because we do that anyway in our cameras. When we shoot flat, and then we go into our color grading, and then we start grading all that stuff, our video footage grading that stuff, and we add, that's in post-production where we add the sharpness that's intended. We add all those things. So those corrections were already accounted for, and by going to 0 sharpness, you're just taking that away. 50 color is not ideal because this is usually a default color, and on LG, it's just washed out. You don't really get that liveliness that you get from raising the color a bit more, as I'm sure many of you have probably already experimented with color by now. Tint is set to 0. The advanced tools, or basically the advanced controls, you're going to turn dynamic contrast off. I don't disagree with this. It's kind of destructive, but super resolution, you can turn that on. It adds clarity, and to turn it off, it's just kind of like not taking advantage again of the picture processing tools. Then you go into auto for color gamut. I don't know why anyone would do that, because as you see, as I go to extended and as I go to wide, you're not destroying the picture. They'll try to tell you that it's just grossly oversaturating everything, and that's not what it's doing. It really isn't doing anything like that. It gives a nice kick to the color and adds necessary redness in areas where it should have it. There is blood underneath the skin, and you need that red to the shadows to create that punch that these filmmakers created for you. They went through all this work of learning these advanced shadow lighting techniques, right down to, again, darkening the shadows, making red shadows so that you can see blood in the face, and you take that away by going to auto color, and she just literally looks like she's dead. Then you go to Gamma 2.2. I guess this is fine. I won't argue too much with that. My white balance points and color management system, that's all been professionally calibrated, so there's nothing I need to do there. As far as the brightness, the peak brightness, you don't want to be turning this off. Oh, also, special note here. For these two, you do not want to be plugging in Rtings values. This is extremely specific to your panel. It analyzes what your screen has too much of. If you have too much green, too much blue light, whatever it is, or blue hue, whatever, it'll adjust that stuff out for you and give you a really nice picture in the software anyway that you're using of choice. So again, you really want to make sure you're building this around your setup, not someone else's. Peak brightness, you never want to turn this off. The reason you don't want to turn this off is because look at the highlights. The highlights are now fading away when you turn that off. Key highlights that you need to create a scene. Key highlights that the director put there so that you can see. Turning that off also sours colors and makes things look really ugly, where even medium tightens up color and gives it much more purity to it. That's just what I've been able to experience. Now, when we go into the picture options, both noise reductions are off. I mean, at 0 sharpness, you won't need noise reduction, but you also won't have much in the way of too much clarity either. So, I mean, I agree with this move, but also it's dumb to turn your sharpness down to 0 anyway. Smooth gradation being off, totally the dumbest move you could do. You want to make sure that your gradients are smooth regardless of what you're watching, and the fact that they turn that off, it's terrible. This is not going to destroy your picture. Is your picture distorting or turning terrible in any way, shape, or form by turning that on or off? No. You can turn that on. Black level on auto, that's fine. LG needs it on auto. Real cinema, that's fine. Motion eye care, off. It doesn't make a difference one way or another, whether it's on or off. It won't destroy your picture. True cinema or true motion off. I personally disagree with this, but this is a subjective thing here. Okay, so I disagree with this because I like hyperrealism. I like to feel like I'm in my content. I like silky smooth motion. LG has all of that with motion processing on. With it off, it's juddery, it's jittery, and it's a mess. It's nowhere near as clean and as smooth as it would be with motion processing on. You obviously have motion artifacts because you're creating frames that aren't there when you use any of the smoothing features, but honestly speaking, turning this off is the dumbest thing ever for me personally, because I didn't buy a brand new TV to make it look like something from the 90s. And that's what you're doing when you're adhering to the Rec 709 industry standards. When you go to the Rec 709 industry standard, just so you can see I'm there, use your magic remote, and with this remote, type in 1113111. That'll take you to this HDMI signaling override. Automatic is the Rec 709. Everything's auto, and I will use these for my settings as well, so you guys can see. I won't be giving up my settings, but I will be showing you at least that I am adhering to this part of it. And you guys are seeing, like, these are the settings that were created for, or at least the standards that were created for those old tube TVs that we all grew up watching. We don't have tube TVs. These are OLED TVs, and times have changed. And people have got to stop setting their TVs like this, because this is ugly, fundamentally ugly and broken. You're ruining your image and really just taking away any benefit, really, to owning such a high-end display. When you go up into the settings here and you go into my settings, watch what happens now. I use HDR effect mode. Immediately you'll notice a huge difference, a kick in clarity. Now, again, I am being fair here. I have all of my AI processing on right now, but I'll go ahead and turn that stuff off because that's what they recommend you do, which again, I don't recommend you do that. That's the brains of your TV, but to apples, I'll turn it off. So I'm being fair here so everybody can see that. Okay, then we're gonna go here and we're going to go to HDR effect. I'm gonna go 1113111. And then as you see, I've already done the BT 2020 adjustment, taken it away. And now we're in Rec 709, okay? So this isn't even the regular variation, but I want to show you something. Look at my settings and look at their settings, okay? So this is what I'm offering. I'm offering beautiful colors. I'm offering life. I'm offering warmth to the skin. I mean, it's a little dark on camera. You can't see everything. You may have to brighten up your screen brightness, but that's what I do. Now, Rtings.com is offering this. Death to your picture. Literally, it literally looks dead. Like, to say that it's not would just be like the biggest cap of the century, because that's essentially what they're doing. Look, in real time. They're down here, I'm up here. It's a massive difference. A massive difference. And the quality that you're getting on mine versus theirs. So now let's go to a different scene, right? We saw scene 2, and I'm just going to go to the beginning of every chapter that I can, really, to show you guys the beginning of every chapter. Look at their buildings. I'm going to clear this out so you guys can see. This is what it looks like. As I look at it with my naked eye, it looks like this. It's washed out, void of any real color, and pretty damn dead. So then we go in to the settings menu here, and we look at what I'm offering. This is what mine look like. You have all the highlight detail. I'll clear this out so you can see it. You have all the highlight detail you want. You have clarity. You have real looking skin tones. Things appear more naturally, right? At least compared to Rtings, right? And this is what they're doing. I mean, but this is the setting that so many people roll with. And my point for making this video is to showcase that you don't need to do this. You don't need to make it so impossible to see. You won't see it on your end, but right now as I'm looking at this with my naked eye, these buildings are incredibly difficult to see any kind of clarity, and they look very blurry, especially the ones further away in a distance. Whereas when I go into my settings here and pull this back up here, my settings show the clarity. It is immediately sharper, immediately more clear as to what's going on in the scene versus Rtings settings that are dark and void of any real life. This is not going to be good for a dark room, and it's not going to be good for a bright room. These settings don't work. They are made to look like TVs that are decades old. And I have been harping on this, and I will continue to harp on this for as long as there are people out there that genuinely believe that scenes look better when they're destroyed. Because as you look at this scene, you can see all the ambient light. You can see the hues as they exist in the blue here. You can see all of these hues. You can see the natural shades. You can see tons of depth and dimensionality. Then we go down to Rtings settings, and look at that. It's dead. It literally looks like I just killed the entire sky. Then we go to the next scene, right? Another building scene where you can see more architecture. Again, you have some details that you can see because you've taken your brightness down to a ridiculous level. So when you do that, naturally details become more prevalent because you don't have light kind of over exaggerating or blowing out some details, which is great. But also, you don't need that much light. You don't have to do that. You don't have to go down that low. Look at this. This is the difference between somebody knowing what they're doing and somebody that doesn't. And I'm using picture processing, and I'm using the HDR effect mode. Again, the so-called status quo on how you should go about these TVs is not ideal. You don't want to be doing this to your television. Now, there are people that swear by these settings. They jump up and down and say, yes, these are my settings. These are the settings that I swear by. But I think the proof is in the pudding by now. I've shown more than enough so that you can see it. I'll even show it here with just like a main menu hub, right? With just icons. What Rtings settings will look like as you turn on your Blu-ray player, what my settings will look like as you turn on your Blu-ray player. There is not even a shadow of a doubt that there is a correct way and a wrong way to do things, and the way that Rtings sets their TVs up, even for a dark room, is the wrong way. They can harp on this reference accuracy from decades ago that no longer work on these modern displays, but the reality is you're not buying a TV from 1995, you're buying a TV from 2020, and even further into the 2020s and beyond. You don't want to be doing this to your TVs, and I hope by showing this off, it kind of maybe highlighted why you don't want to automatically crush out all the information in your image for the sake of using Rtings settings because they're supposed to be so-called professionals. Thanks for watching the #1 brand in honesty, keeping it real with you guys as always, and until the next video, I'll see you guys later.